Hello and welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted to be joined once again tonight by Gregory Doyle as we look ahead to Takuma Inoue fighting Jerwin Ancajas. Greg, before we get into this fight preview, how are we tonight?
Yeah, very well, Owen. I think it's a good fight. The Japanese cards seem to be doing something for us lately, don't they? They always kind of get everyone's spirits up because you don't get a lot of boxing on random days of the week where everyone's maybe working or random times during the day, should I say. So yeah, it's a fight I'm looking forward to with Inoue being having a famous bigger brother, with Ancajas knowing him for having one or two rivals in this country. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think like you say, it's the Japanese are providing us with some great I wouldn't even say great nights, some great afternoons of boxing. With Takuma Inoue's brother, the notorious Naoya Inoue, who clearly carries all the punching power in the family. But without focusing on his brother too much, we look into this, Greg. Takuma Inoue, he's picked up the WBA bantamweight title against the well-rounded, almost veteran fighter at this stage of his career, Liborio Solis. Greg, Takuma Inoue stepped up super bantamweight, then he come back down to fight Liborio Solis. Do you think he came back down because it was almost potentially an easy route to a world title against I believe a 41-year-old Solis?
In ways, I do. Oh, yeah, because I know his only loss on his record was against Ubali, who, by the way, is a very good fighter. Ubali, the Frenchman, he was very fringe world level at one time, I believe. A very tough man. So, yeah, he stepped up. It wasn't to be. He came back down. He got a vacant world title shot against a veteran whose best days are probably past him, but still a really good learning fight, and one that if you're not firing on all cylinders that night, you're going to lose. So, yeah, to answer your question, I think he did see an opportunity there, and we can't really blame him for taking it. If you get an opportunity for a world title, whether it's the weight above, the weight below, I think you just have to take it so that you can have that stance of being saying that I was a world champion. So, good luck to you.
Yeah, I think it's more than fair. Liborio Solis was looking through his record. He won his first world title into April 2012, so nearly dead on 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So his better days are probably behind him. But like you say, sometimes those fights can be good learning curves. They're still, although their hands and their feet might not be as quick as they used to be, they've still got it up here. So it's always a good learning fight. But he comes into this fight against Jerwin Ancajas, who Jerwin Ancajas held the IBF junior bantamweight title for 6 years. He defended it numerous times, and then he lost against Fernando Martinez back to back on points victories. Fernando Martinez came into that fight obviously as a big puncher. It went to the full 12 round distance, both fights. What do you make of obviously Jerwin Ancajas coming into this fight on the back of a knockout, but previous to that suffered two back-to-back defeats? As in, do you think that will play on his mind, or do you think being a world champion for a period of 6 years, it's just back to business?
The lower weights are funny on because there's some guys who I've seen they fight guys who have won five, lost 12. A step up for them is fighting a guy who's won seven and lost four, and then they look unbelievable when they fight for a world title. I can't work it out. Some of the lower weights are just wild when it comes to that. Jerwin and Canjas, I remember him. He stopped Jamie Conlon, I believe, all those years ago. And Jamie Conlon, a lot of people thought he was going to go on and be world champion. He was a very good fighter in his own right. And Kajas, he's a little bit wild. He's a bit of an aggressive fighter, but he's got a good boxing brain as well. But I think these lower weights, everyone just kind of has their day and their time. And some of these primes, they don't last too long because with these little guys, you need to have everything. You need to have the stamina, the power, the speed. Everything needs to be firing all the time because it's not like heavyweight where everything is slower paced. If you're starting to look a little bit past it's going to start showing at the lower weights because you need so many different credentials. So reading into the two losses, he fought a good prospect who's known as a puncher, went the distance with him. Can't really argue with that, other than if he was really going to have proper world title aspirations, I think he would have won the rematch. Last time out, fought a guy with a very average record, stopped him, done what he needed to do to get himself back on the winning run. So I don't think this fight is a foregone conclusion. I think it's actually a very interesting one. The fact that it's in Japan, I know he will have a big backing and things. It's intriguing, but Ancajas is a good fighter. And listen, with the greatest of respect, if someone's a bit of a madman, they can turn it on when they want. And I'm telling you now, Ancajas, he's a madman.
Yeah, I think that's more than fair. These, as we said off camera before the video, these lower weights, titles change hands all the time. There's unknown prospects that come through and fail, and then like you say, there's fighters where they'll fight someone with sort of like you say a losing record, not look great, go into a world title fight and look like the best boxer on the planet. But it's why we love the lower weights, the flyweights, bantamweights, featherweights. Excellent value for money. In terms of this fight as a matchup, obviously you have alluded to Ancajas being sort of a bit wild, and Takuma Inoue coming into this arguably being the better boxer. What do you think Ancajas needs to do to beat Inoue? Because it's likely Inoue is going to come in this to box. He's not a big puncher at all. Do you think Ancajas needs to search for the knockout?
Yeah, I do. And if I'm being honest, I think he needs to attack the body early in Ancajas and stay close to Inoue. Make him work for every minute, every round, and show his experience. Because although Inoue, yeah, he's world champion now, I just feel like Ancajas is in one of those careers where he's probably seen everyone that there is to see. He's got 3 losses, 2 draws on the record. I think about 27 or 28 wins. He's a guy who's been around for a long, long time. So he'll know what he has to do to upset Inoue's rhythm. And what Inoue needs to show is, I think this is his real gut test as a world level operator. I think Solis, very good name, but a guy he's 41 now. Let's be honest. I get Ancajas, where it's different is this is where you can tell if you're going to stay at that level or not. Because if you're not good enough, this is going to be a tight fight that could really go either way. So yeah, I think he's got to stay close to Inoue, but maybe counter punch him from a medium to close distance and make him work for all of those rounds.
Yeah, again, I think that's more than fair. It's clear to see Inoue is gonna, with his record and from watching him, he's a very good boxer. And can just likely, like you say, body work will be key early on. Try and take Inoue's gas tank away from him and keep him on the back foot. Here's a preview. I'm going to have to ask you for a prediction, Greg. Who do you think wins and how?
Tough fight on. It's a really tough fight because I think Ancajas will think he's got a point to prove here, and rightly so. Just think that the momentum might lie with Inoue. He's got over that little bit of an acid test with Solis now. He can call himself world champion. The fight's in Japan. I think I'd just be edging towards Inoue winning it in points, but I do think Ancajas is very, very live in this fight.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. Unfortunately for the viewers, I do have to agree with yourself. I think it will be Inoue. I don't think it'll be a complete shutout. I think at those weights, it is hard to get a complete shutout sometimes. And I think Ancajas is going to bring the fight. It is in Inoue's backyard, so that will always play a part. But I do think Inoue will edge it in a points decision. But it's set to be a great fight, Greg. Hopefully it will bring the fireworks that we're expecting. And it'll be a very fan-friendly viewing. Let us know in the comments what you think below, guys. If you think Ancajas will beat Takuma Inoue. If you think Takuma Inoue did take an easy route to a world title and isn't really at that level. If you believe that, or if you think completely the opposite to anything me and Greg have said, let us know in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe. And Greg, thank you once again for joining me tonight.